is it. Imagine getting to a place with your spiritual quest where the problem is to hold it down. Well, everybody who takes psychedelics reaches that place. I mean, a way that I've gotten this into a formula for myself is to say, once you come upon this psychedelic issue, you are no longer involved in the process of seeking any spiritual answer. You are now confronted with facing the answer. You wanted a tool for spiritual transcendence? Here is a spiritual tool transcendence, the likes of which you can barely wrap your mind around. If there are other ways to do this, I can't conceive of it. I mean, perhaps ordeals and things that are tremendously stressful. Anytime you make somebody think they're going to die and then they snatch life from the jaws of death, that's a shedding of crap. But it's no fun, right? And yet, in the privacy of your own home with 5 grams of mushrooms, you join Magellan and Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart. I mean, you're out there. That's the real frontier. There's no safety in that zone. It's authentic exploration of reality. Yeah.
Thank you.
Unique that you feel LSD has brought to the psychedelic experience that is not there without it?
Thank you, Lola. Well, what LSD brought to the psychedelic experience was millions upon millions of experiences. No other psychedelic has ever been produced in such volume. So surely, even in today's world, 90% of the people who've had a psychedelic experience, it must have been LSD. As far as its superiority or...
In terms of a teaching from a different perspective, like a piece of the lesson that may not be there with the plants. Is there something that you found with that?
Nobody's ever asked me this question. A unique contribution of LSD. I don't know. I'm not the greatest of enthusiasts for it. I thank God for it. I mean, it created me and my friends and my worldview. I can't really think of anything it does that something else doesn't do. The way I ended up using LSD was as a magnifying glass to inspect other psychedelics. 100 gamma of LSD and 60 milligrams of mescaline, or 100 gamma of LSD and smoking DMT. 100 gamma by itself is not much, but it seemed to work as a kind of source of energy to inflate these other states. The original so-called psychedelic experience that the people were working with at Harvard in the famous experiments there was this combo of mescaline and LSD that gave them the best results. And that is highly visionary. I mean, that is just a kaleidoscope of three-dimensional vision. Tim Leary said a wonderful thing about LSD. Actually, I asked him if he'd said it. He couldn't remember ever saying it, but it certainly described my experience with LSD. He said, LSD is a psychoactive drug which occasionally causes psychotic behavior in people who haven't taken it. And I witnessed psychotic behavior all around me in people who hadn't taken it.
And one thing with mushrooms, LSD and mushrooms, what sort of a...
I never did that. Scratch my back and you'll discover a hard-bitten conservative. Yeah, somebody else.
I was wondering, in terms of the ayahuasca, do you have any... You mentioned some of the places, the conditions you might want to take it under, but obtaining it and or any safeguards in terms of who you would obtain it from, and you mentioned that it really varies in terms of the dosage, in terms of who makes it.
Yeah, it's a real problem. You're going to have to deal with other people and their motives and motivations. The problem always with ayahuasca is to get it good. And you never know, till you're out there, whether it's going to be good or not. So all I can say to you is, hone all the social skills you need anyway to get ahead in life, and it will aid you in discerning shit from shinola in the realm of ayahuasca as well.
By good, you mean intense?
Good ayahuasca? Yes, strong visions. You want it to be strong. If it isn't visionary, I would be skeptical of everything being said around it and about it, because that's what it must be. That's the quintessence. Yeah.
In the Amazonian society, the shamans are one. They're a minority within the culture, and there's one in each group. How do you see that role in the context of, if there's a new society where hallucinogens are more widely available and used, how do you see that role being in our culture and changing?
Well, the obvious institution which is in place to do something with this is psychotherapy in some form. But I don't know, psychotherapy is so wrong-headed whether it can be reclaimed or not. I spend a lot of time talking to psychotherapists because, they're frontline workers in the realm of the mind. A professional class has to be created of people who do it and who then provide guidance to other people. And people should self-select for this in the same way that some people want to be bartenders and some people Air Force generals. It's a calling. And in the traditional societies that Nicole and I were involved with in South America, there's always elder shamans who are able to pass this stuff down. Now our problem is we have to make it up. We have to create or amalgamate or bring together from many sources a coherent shamanism. I think we're doing this, but we're bootstrapping it. It's slow. It isn't easy. As far as the legality of all this, I think people should be free to do what they want with their minds. It seems to me it's already covered in the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness clause of the Bill of Rights. Pursuit of happiness. If that does, Hamilton wanted it to say right to own property. And they said, no, that'll make all kinds of problems. I said, well, how about the pursuit of happiness? Okay. Well, that legitimizes this intent. My position on this psychedelic thing, the reason I'm involved in it is because, politically speaking, it seems to me it lies on a direct line of development from the signing of the Magna Carta, the freeing of slaves, the emancipation of women, the emancipation of gays. In other words, this deciding that people can take any drug they damn well please is part of the task of creating a sane and rational society that places the values of the individual first. Once we get through this drug war crap that we're having to put up with, and all drugs are freely legal and very few people take them, and it's, all settled down, people will look back and say of us, as we say of people who kept slaves on their plantations, what a bunch of barbarians. Can you imagine in the 20th century a president of the United States stood up before his nation and advocated pissing in bottles by the citizenry in order to determine who was taking what drugs? It's no weirder than, they hung a pig for murder in Amsterdam in 1544. It'll be told like that. Anecdotes about the quaint medieval practices of the benighted past. Isn't that right, Nicole?
Yes. But there's one